राग आसा बाणी भगतां की। कबीर जियो नाम देव जियो, रविदास जियो। आस्था श्री कबीर जियो। गुर चरण लाग हम बिनवता, पूछो कह जियो पाया। कवन काज जग उपजै बिनसै, कहो मोहे समझाया। Falling at the feet of Guru, I pray and I ask him, why was this human created? What deeds caused the world to come into being and be destroyed? Tell me that I may understand this. देव करो दया मोहे मार्ग लावो, जित पै बंधन टूटै। जन्म मरण दुख फेड़ कर्म सुख, जी जन्म ते छूटै रहाओ। O divine, perfect Guru, I pray to you to show me the right path through your kindness and grace, so that the dreadful bondage of cycle of births and deaths is completely cast away. माया फास बंद नहीं फारे, और मन सुन न लूके। आपा पद निर्वाण न चीनिया, इन भिद अप्यो न चूके। Neither I have been able to free myself from the bondage of Maya, worldly falsehood, nor I have been able to seek out the God in the state of nothingness, when he was absorbed in himself in complete solitude, with no creation of any sort, as a result of which I could not attain even self-realization, so that the fear of cycle of births and deaths still persists with me. कही न उपजै उपजी जाने, पाव पाव बिहूणा। उदय हस्त की मन बुध नासी, तो सदा सहज लिव लीना। The truth about the creation of this universe has not been understood by me because of my selfful attitude, or distinction between truth and falsehood, or true religion and unreal religious practices had not been realized by me so far. But with Guru's guidance, when my worldly veil of falsehood was removed through the God's grace, I realized truth, and my heart now remains immersed in God's love and remembrance in the state of equipoise. When the mortal gives up his ideas of birth and death, then only can he remain constantly absorbed in Vahiguru's love. जो प्रतिबिंब बिंब को मिली है, उदक कुंभ बिगराना। कहो कबीर ऐसा गुण प्रम पागा, तो मन सुन समाना। O Kabir, all my doubts, misgivings and dual-mindedness were removed with Guru's guidance, and the veil of falsehood was torn apart, just as the shadow of the sun mingles with the sun, which was being reflected in the pot of water earlier, with pot breaking down and becoming one entity. So now I have inculcated God's love in my heart, and I am always imbued with the love and devotion of true God. आसा गज साढ़े तै तै तोतियाँ तेरे पायन ताक गली जिना जप मालियाँ लोटे हाथ निबाक ओए हर के संत नाखिए बनारस के ठाग। Saint Kabir is explaining with reference to Pandits of Benares, the persons who are wearing dhotis of 3.5 yards along with a sacred thread made of 3 lengths and have necklace of beads around their necks along with a vessel in their hand. They should not be considered as the saints of the God. They are the thugs of Benares. ऐसे संत नामों को पावहें डाला स्यों पेड़ा गटकावहें. Such saints, they are not pleasing to me at all. They eat the trees along with the branches. I do not approve of such false saints or pandits. These fellows could even kill the human beings for the possession of their worldly materials, just as a carpenter cuts tree along with its branches, which are laden with fruits. Pause. बासन मांझ चरावें ऊपर काठी तोए जलावें बसुधा खोद करें दुए चूल्हे सारे मानस खावें. These pandits make such a show of their purity by putting clean utensils in the fire and washing even logs of foods before burning them, and then make 2 fireplaces, chullas, for one for their own use, the second for others for cooking, but they would eat even the live human beings. ओए पापी सदा फिरे अपराधी मुखों परस कहावें सदा सदा फिरे अभिमानी सगल कुटुंब डुबावें. These sinners, they continually wander in evil deeds while they call themselves touch nothing saints. They wander around forever and ever in their self-conceit, and all their families are drowned. जित को लाया तित ही लागा तैसे कर्म कमावे कहो कबीर जिस सतगुर पेटै पुनरप जन्म नावे. But this human being is helpless as nothing is in his hands, and it is as per God's will. What is functioning is the individual does all the functions as directed by God's will. O Kabir, the people who come across the perfect Guru, they are never born again, as they are freed from cycle of births and deaths, and they do not pass through this cycle again. आसा बाप दिलासा मेरो कीना सेज सुखाली मुख अमृत दीना तिस बाप को क्यों मनो विसारी आगे गया न बाजी हारी. My Father, my God, has convinced me and given me full satisfaction by directing me to partake the nectar of true name, so that my life has become comfortable and a bed of roses. How could I forget such a God, my Father? We should never lose this battle of life while proceeding to the next world. after death. मुई मेरी माई हों खरा सुखाला, पैरों नहीं दगली लगे न पाला रहा. My mother, the worldly falsehood Maya has died, so I am having peace of mind and I do not feel cold. I do not need to use this warm clothing to cover up the effects of cold caused by the 5 vices. Pause. बल तिस बापै जिन्हों जाया, पंचाते मेरा संग चुकाया. पंच मार पावा तल दीने, हर सिमरन मेरा मन तन पीने. I offer myself as a sacrifice to such a God, such Father who has given me birth and then enabled me to shake off the company of these 5 vices. Now I have controlled all the 5 enemies and have put them under my heels after killing them, and my body and soul are fully imbued with the love of God's true name and its recitation. पिता हमारो वड गुसाए, तिस पिता पे हों क्यों कर जाए. सतगुर मिले तमार्ग दिखाया, जगत पिता मेरे मन पाया. My father is really a great support. He is the great God of the universe. How shall I go to him? When I met the true Guru, he showed me the way. The Father of the universe is pleasing to my mind. How put tera tu baap mera, ek ठाहर दुहा बसेरा. कहो कबीर जन एको बूझिया, गुर प्रसाद में सब किछ सूझिया. O Vaheguru, you are my father and I am your son. We are putting up at the same place. Then how is it that we do not meet each other? O Kabir, I have realized now clearly that I could visualize and perceive everything from nature, the God's secrets, through the Guru's grace and guidance. All the world's secrets are now fully understood by me. आसा इकत पतर पार, उरकट गुरकट इकत पतर पार पानी. आस पास पंच जोगिया बैठे, बीच नकट ते रानी. In one utensil they put a boiled chicken, and in another pot they put wine. The 5 yogis of the tantric ritual sit there, and in their midst sits the noseless one, the shameless queen, the Maya. Nakatti ko than gan badadu, kinhe bibeki kati tu raha. The bell of this shameless queen Maya rings in both worlds. Some rare distinguished people of discriminating wisdom has cut off your nose. Pause. Sagal mahin katti ka vasa, sagal mar heri. सगलियाँ की हो बहन पान जी, जिन्हें बरी तिस चेरी. Within all dwells this noseless Maya, who kills all and destroys them. She says, I am the sister and the daughter of the sister of everyone. I am the handmaiden of one who marries me. हमरो परता बड्डो बिबेकी, आपे संत कहावे. ओह हमारे माथे कायम और हमरे निकट न आवे। My husband is the great one of discriminating wisdom. He alone is called a saint. He always stands by me, and no one else dares to come near me. नाको काटी कानो काटी काट कूट के डारे, कहो कबीर संतन की बैरन, तीन लोक की प्यारी। O Kabir, this worldly falsehood, who is the darling of the whole world, Maya, which is loved by the whole world, has been totally disfigured and discredited by the saints by cutting off its ears and nose, and has been thrown away, as it is the enemy of the holy saints. But the whole world loves it. So whosoever controls the worldly falsehood by conquering it, the Maya functions as his mistress, being fully under his control. आसा जोगी जति तपी सन्यासी, बहु तीरथ प्रमना, लुंजित मुंजित मोन जटाधर, अंत तो मरना। The yogis, celibates, penitents, sannyasis, they make pilgrimages to all sacred places and have holy baths there. The Jains with shaven heads, the silent ones, the beggars with long hair, in the end they all die. Tante seviyale Ram naam, रसना राम नाम हित जाके, कहा करे जमना रहाओ। Therefore, we should meditate on God's true name, as even the Yama, god of death, cannot harm a person who has developed love of God by reciting God's name with the help of one's tongue. Pause. आगम निर्गम ज्योतिक जाने, बहु बहु बिया करना, तंत्र मंत्र सब औखद जाने, अंत तो मरना। Even if someone were a great scholar, knowing Vedas, Shastras and astrology, along with the knowledge of grammar of the languages, and even if someone has all sorts of medicine knowledge along with other magical powers, but finally everyone has to face the same challenge of death. राज भोग और छत्र सिंहासन, बहु सुंदर रमना, पान कपूर सुभासक चंदन, अंत तो मरना। Even if someone were a king, enjoying the comforts and pleasures of kingdom, along with the pleasures of beautiful beauties, having use of betel nuts, fragrance of chandan, sandalwood, or camphor and other scented things which give lot of fragrance or good smell, even those in the end have to face the death. वेद पुराण सिमरित सब खोजे, कहू नाउ बरना, कहो कबीर यो राम ही जंपो, मीत जन्म मरना। Even if someone was a researcher of Vedas, Puranas and Smritis, considering oneself higher than others and more intelligent, but no one could escape the clutches of death, O Kabir, If someone were to meditate on God's true name, then one gets freed from cycle of births and deaths and finally crosses this ocean of life successfully. Asa feel babi balag pakhavaj kawa taal bajave पहर चोलना गदहा नाचे पैसा भगत करावे. My mind that was drunken in ego like an elephant is now playing rabab and is doing praises of Vaheguru. My mind that was of animals' instincts like ox is now playing drums, and my mind which was acting clever like a crow is now playing the cymbals. My mind which was like donkey is now dancing around putting on a skirt, and the water buffalo is performing a devotional worship. All is because of the love of Vaheguru. Now all of these in my mind are enjoying and singing the God's praises by getting rid of the mean and basic character. All are singing Vaheguru's praises, giving up cleverness, ego, wanton desires, and basic mean and clever character. राजा राम ककरिया बरे पकाए किन्ने भोजन हारे खाए रहा. The god, the king, has cooked the cakes of ice, but only the rare man of understanding eats them. Pause. बैठ सिंह कर पान लगावे केस गलोरे लियावे कर कर मुसरी मंगल गावे कछुआ शंख बजावे. The egoistic mind is completely changed with the hue of God's true name, and my heart is engaged in singing of God's praises. All are engaged in meditating on true name of Vaheguru now, just as the lion giving up his nature of violence is busy now in preparing betel nuts, or the rat is busy in serving the marriage party, having given up the character of worldly desires, or the tortoise giving up its nature of fear complex now joins the company of holy congregations, while the senses, like rats, have started singing God's praises, while the tortoise is making noise at the conch shell. बंस को पूत बियाहन चलिया सुने मंडप छाए रूप कन्या सुंदर बेदी सस्य सिंह गुन गाए कहत कबीर सुनो रे संतो कीटी पर्वत खाया कछुआ कहे अंगार भी लोरो लूकी शब्द सुनाया. The son of Maya, after leaving the support of falsehood and pleasure, has given up its dual-mindedness, and being free from effect of Maya, with clean mind and pure heart, has gone to marry a virgin, free from all vicious thoughts, is now singing the praises of fearless God by making the house of gold. The mind has got entrusted in God's remembrance, this getting hold of salvation with full humility, and has started singing God's praises. O Kabir, a person who is very poor and insignificant like the ant, has gotten over the mountain of ignorance and lack of knowledge by adopting humility and thinking power. Now, such a person has destroyed the fire of egoism through developing peace and patience within oneself, and is making others sing the praises of God. has overcome the carelessness by seeking virtues like others and giving discourses on Guru's word by singing God's praises. आसा बटुआ एक 72 आधारी एको जिसे द्वारा नवे खंड की पृथ्वी मांगे सो जोगी जग सारा. The yogi who has made God's true name as his purse and the body with 72 veins and only one outlet for meditation on true name called the 10th outlet, the Samdwar, is a praiseworthy person in the world, as such a yogi is seeking the God's attainment who is fountainhead of all worldly treasures. ऐसा जोगी नवनिध पावे तल का ब्रह्म ले गगन चरावे रहा. Such a yogi attains the 9 treasures and he lifts his soul up from below to the skies of the 10th gate. Pause. खिंथा ज्ञान त्यान कर सुई शब्द तागा मथ काले पंच तत्व की कर मिर्गाणी गुर के मार्ग चाले. Such a yogi makes spiritual wisdom as his patched coat and meditation as his needle. He twists the thread of the word of the Shabad and making the 5 elements his deer skin to sit on, he walks on the Guru's path. दया फाहुरी काया कर तुई दृष्ट की अगन जलावे तिसका पाओ लय रिद अंतर चौह जुग ताड़ी लावे. Such a yogi makes compassion his shovel, his body the firewood, and he kindles the fire of divine vision. Such a yogi places love within his heart and remains in deep meditation throughout the 4 ages. सब जोग तण राम नाम है जिसका पिंड पराना कहो कबीर जी कृपा तारे दे सच्चा निशाना. All the yoga is in the name of the God. The body and the breath of life all belong to Vaheguru. Says Kabir, if God grants his grace, he bestows the insignia of truth. आसा हिंदू तुर्क कहाँ ते आए किन ए राह चलाए दिल में सोच विचार कवा दे पिस्त दो जग किन पाए. O brother, try to think it and give it due consideration. Who would be allotted heaven or hell? It cannot be decided simply based on one's religion, whether someone is Muslim or a Hindu, as all this has been created by the God himself. But who has decided that a Muslim will get heaven or Hindus go to hell? Is it according to your law? काजी तय कवन कतेब बखानी पढ़त गुनत ऐसे सब मारे किन्हू खबर न जानी रहाओ. O Qazi, O Muslim priest, which book have you studied? Where is it written? In fact, all those people who believe in such things and study such books finally face death while wasting their lives in such quarrels, but they do not realize the truth about God and they are finally misled. pause. सकत स्नेह कर सुनत करिए, मैं ना बदूंगा पाई। जोरे खुदाए मोहे तुरक करेगा, आपन ही काट जाई। The people who say that practice of performing sunnat on Muslim male child is in token of love for women is not understood by me, and I cannot accept this argument. In case the God wills me to be a Muslim, then he will automatically get the sunnat done. सुन्नत किए तुरक जे होएगा, औरत का क्या करिए। अर्ध शरीरी नार न छोड़े, ताते हिंदू ही रहिए। If Sunnat makes one a Muslim, then what about a woman? Isn't woman a Muslim? She is the other half of man's body, and she does not leave him, so he remains a Hindu. छाड़ कतेब राम पज बौरे, जुलम करत है पारी। कबीर पकड़ी टेक राम की, तुरक रहे पचहारी। Give up reading your holy books and remember the one and only God. It is of no use reading these kind of books when you are torturing innocent people and committing brutalities on them. Instead, try to remember God and meditate on His true name so that you may also finally attain salvation. Why carry on with your brutalities, O Kabir? I have sought the support of one and only God, and I feel it would help me to cross this ocean successfully, while the Turks will finally get tired with their arguments and keep quiet. आसार जब लगे तेल दीवे, मुख बाती तब सूझे सब कोई। तेल जले बाती ठहरानी, सुना मंदिर होई। So long there is oil in the lamp, and there is a wick on the top of the lamp. The oil burns and there is light all around in the house. One could see things around and recognize them. But when the oil is spent up, the wick stops burning and it is all darkness in the house. Similarly, in the house of this human body, the breathing life is like the lamp, soul is the wick, and the fortune is the oil. And as soon as the fire of heart is extinguished, this body becomes dead and lifeless. रे बोरे तुहे करी न राखे कोई, तू राम नाम जप सोई रहाओ। O foolish person, no one will keep you for even a moment. Meditate on the Naam, the name of that God. Pause. काकी मात पिता कहो काको, कवन पुरख की जोई। काट फूटे को बात न पूछे, काढ़ो काढ़ो होई। O fool, whose father or brother is someone to be considered and whose wife is there, all these relatives are unreal and false relations. When the body loses life, like the broken pitcher, then after death no one is bothered about you, and everyone is heard saying that we should get rid of this corpse quickly and take it to the cremation ground. Everyone is keen to get rid of the dead body as it has no use in the house. देहुरी बैठी माता रोवे, खटिया ले गए पाए, लाट छिटकाए तिरिया रोवे, हंस अकेला जाए. The mother cries and wails at the doorstep, while the brothers, they carry the dead body towards the cremation ground on a cot. The wife with her loose hair also wails at her loss, but the soul goes alone to the next world. कहत कबीर सुनो रे संतो, पैसागर कहताई, इस बंदे सिर जुल्म होत है, जम नहीं हटे गुसाई. दुत के, O Kabir, the saints should listen to this fact that we should recite the God's true name in order to cross this dreadful ocean of life successfully. O God, this man is being subjected to a lot of tortures as the Yama, god of death, has gotten hold of his body in a tight noose, and no one else could render and help now. We should get rid of Yama's hold during the life itself by meditating on true name. Ik Omkar Satgur Prasad, Asai Shri Kabir Jiyo ke Chaup de Ik Tuke. सनक सनंद अंत नहीं पाया, वेद पढ़े पढ़ ब्रह्म जन्म गवाया. हर का बिलोव ना बिलो मेरे पाई, सहज बिलो जैसे तत न जाई रहा. Neither Brahma nor his son Sanak Sanatan and Sant Kumar have found the limits of the God's greatness, even though Brahma, the god of Hindus, and his sons have studied Vedas in detail. In fact, they have wasted this life in the study of Vedas rather than laying hands on the secrets of the nature. O brother, in case you want to churn anything, it is true name, which should be churned slowly so that the essence of curd, the butter, is not lost in such a process. So we should meditate on true name gradually so as to gain unity with the God, else the whole effort in this world is wasted. Pause. Tan kar matki मन माहे बिलोई, इस मटकी में है शब्द संजोई. हर का बिलोवना मन का बिछोरा, गुरु प्रसाद पावे अमृत तारा. We should consider the human body as the pitcher, a utensil, and true name should be used in churning in it with the help of Guru's word, where instead of the curd, the Guru's word is used for converting milk into curd or changing the human mind and diverting it from vicious thoughts and sinful actions towards recitation of true name. The correct churning consists of pondering over Guru's word in one's mind, and the meditation of true name is the true or correct means of removing the cream from the churned curd. But this is possible only after Guru's grace is bestowed on us when we receive the nectar of true name. With the attainment of God's true name alone, we will relish the taste of this nectar enjoying the bliss. कहु कबीर नदर करे जे मीरा, राम नाम लग उतरे तीरा. Says Kabir, if that God or King casts his glass of grace, one is carried across to the other side, holding fast to Vahiguru's name. Asa बाती सूकी तेल निखुटा, मंदल ना बाजे नट पै सूता. बुझ गई अगन ना निकस्यो धुआं, रव रहया एक अवर नहीं दुआ रहाओ. The mind, like a magician, has joined the company of holy saints and gone into slumber of peacefulness. As no drums are being heard in the temple of this body, the body is not engrossed in worldly falsehood. As the oil of worldly attachments has finished and the wick of worldly pleasures has dried up, the mind is at peace now, as the body, having joined the company of holy saints, has given up worldly attachments and falsehood. The fire of worldly desires has been extinguished within, without giving out any smoke of worldly desires or attachments. Now there is only one God seen pervading all the beings, as there is no second power. Pause. टूटी तंत ना बजै रबाब, पूल बिगाड़ियो अपना काज. कथनी बदनी कहन कहावन, समझ परी तो बिसरियो गावन. कहत कबीर पंच जो चूरे, तिन ते नाहे परम पद दूरे. The strings have now broken, and the rabab of this body is making no music at all. The human has mistakenly ruined all his own affairs. When the real understanding and realization has come to the mind, one has forgotten this preaching, ranting and raving and arguing. Says Kabir, the state of supreme dignity is never far from those who conquer the 5 demons of body passions. आसा सुत अपराध करत हैं जेते, जननी चीत न राखस तेते. रामैया हूँ बारिक तेरा, काहे न खंडस अवगन मेरा रहाओ. Whatever mistakes are committed by the child, the mother never keeps an account of those. O Vahiguru, I am like your child, so why do you not cast away all our sins? Pause. जेयत क्रोप करे कर ताया, ताबी चीत न राखस माया. चिंत भवन मन पर्यो हमारा, नाम बिना कैसे उतरस पारा. देह बिमल मत सदा शरीरा, सहज सहज गुण रवै कबीरा. When a child spoils something with a rash mind, the mother does not get disturbed and hold anything against the child in her mind. My mind has fallen into the whirlpool of anxiety. Without the Naam, how can we cross over to the other side? Please bless my body with pure and lasting understanding, O Vahiguru. In peace and poise, Kabir chants the praises of God. Asal हज हमारी गोमती तीर, जहाँ बसें पीतम्बर पीर। वाह वाह क्या खूब गावता है, हर का नाम मेरे मन पावता है। My pilgrimage to Mecca is on the banks of Gomati River. The spiritual teacher in his yellow robes dwelt there. Wah, wah, hail, how wondrously he sings. The name of the God is pleasing to my mind. Pause. नारद सारद करें खवासी, पास बैठी बीबी कवला दासी। कंठे माला जिह्वा राम, सहंस नाम ले ले करो सलाम। कहत कबीर राम गुण गावो, हिंदू तुर्क दो समझावो। Narda, the sage, and Sharda, the goddess of knowledge, serve that one and only Vahikaral, that supreme God. The goddess Lakshmi sits by him as his slave. The mala is around the neck, and God's name is upon my tongue. I repeat the name of the God 1,000 times and bow in reference to that God. Says Kabir, I sing the glorious praises of that one and only God, Vaheguru. I teach both Hindus and Muslims. आसा श्री कबीर जियो के पंच पदे नौ, दुत्त के पंच एक ओंकार सतगुर प्रसाद। पाती तोरै मालिनी पाती पाती जियो, जिस पाहन को पाती तोरै सो पाहन निर्जियो। पूली मालिनी है ओ सतगुर जागता है देव रहाओ। O gardener, you tear off the leaves, but in each and every leaf there is a life. That stone idol for which you are tearing off those leaves, that stone idol is lifeless. In this you are doing a big mistake, O gardener. The true Guru is the living Guru, is the God. Pause. ब्रह्म पाती बिसन डारी, फूल शंकर देओ। तीन देव पर तख तोरें, कहें किसकी सेओ। Brahma is in the leaves, Vishnu is in the branches, and Shiva is in the flowers. When you break these three gods, whose service are you performing? पाखान गाढ़ के मूरत कीनी, दे के छाती पाओ। जे मूरत साची है तो गड़न हारे खाओ। The sculptor carves the stone and fashions it into an idol, placing his feet upon its chest. If this stone god was true, it would devour the sculpture for this. पात पहत और लापसी, कर करा का सार। पोगन हारे पोगया, इस मूरत के मुख छार। Rice and beans, candies, cakes and cookies. The priest enjoys all of these while he puts ashes into the mouth of the idol. मालनी पुली जग पुलाना, हम पुलाने नाहे। कहो कबीर हम राम राखे, कृपा कर हर राए। The gardener is mistaken, and this whole world is mistaken, but I am not mistaken, says Kabir. The God preserves me, the God my King has showered his blessings upon me. आसा 12 बरस बालपन बीते, 20 बरस कछ तप न कियो, 30 बरस कछ देव न पूजा, फिर पछताना बिरध भयो. A person spends first 12 years of life in the ignorance of childhood, followed by 20 years without remembering the God or reciting true name, up to the age of 30. Then 30 years more pass away, so that a person becomes an old one and of 60s now, having completely neglected the God without singing his praises. When this person grows old, then he wants to repent for the wasted life, but to what purpose now? मेरी मेरी करते जन्म गयो, सायर सोख भुजम्ब लयो रहा. The foolish person spends this life in ego and I-amness and worldly attachments without realizing anything fruitful. When a person loses all the physical strength and becomes weak, as if the ocean of strength has completely dried up, nothing could be done now. What could be done? Pause. सूके सरवर पाल बंधावे, लूणे खेत हाथवार करे, आयो चोर तुरंत ले गयो, मेरी राखत मुगद फिरे. Now a person reaches a stage where all the efforts are completely useless, just like building up protective walls around a dried pond or putting barbed wire around a field where the crop is already harvested. Just as all these efforts are useless, similarly an old person would be making fruitless efforts at meditation of true name. The body and wealth which this person had been trying to preserve during all lifetime is destroyed in no time by the Yama, god of death, without any noise or murmur. चरण शीस कर कंपन लागे, नैनी नीर असार बहे, जेवा बचन शुद्ध नहीं निकसै, तब रे धर्म की आस करे. Now when the person reaches a stage where the whole body including hands and feet are trembling and the eyes are shedding water and the tongue falters while speaking, now this person wants to talk about God and other godly discussions when he has grown so weak that he is very ineffective and not able to do much action. हर जियो कृपा करे लिवलावे, लाहा हर हर नाम लियो, गुर प्रसादी हर तन पायो, अंते चल दिया नाल चलियो. However, the Guru-minded people who are bestowed with God's grace, they meditate on God's true name and recite God's name, thus benefiting from His love. Then they receive the treasure of true name which accompanies them at the time of death to the next world. कहत कबीर सुनो रे संतो, अन तन कछुए लैना गयो, आई तलब गोपाल राय की, माया मंदिर chhod chaleo. O Kabir, let the holy saints realize that this person does not take anything along with him at the time of death except the true name. When the call of death comes, then this person has to leave everything here, including worldly possessions, all mansions, and has to go empty-handed. The only protection lies in the wealth of God's true name. आसा काहू दीने पाठ पटंबर, काहू पलग निवारा, काहू गरी गोदरी नाही, काहू खान परारा। ए रखवाद न की जय रे मन, सुकृत कर कर ली जय रे मन रहा। To some people, Vaheguru has given silks and satins, and to some they have their beds decorated with cotton ribbons, and some do not even have a poor patched coat, and some live in thatched huts. Do not indulge in envy and bickering, O my mind. By continually doing good deeds, these are obtained, O my mind. Pause. कुम्हारे एक जो माटी गूंधी, बहुविध बानी लाई, काहू मह मोती मुक्ताहल, काहू ब्याध लगाई। सुमह तन राखन को दिया, मुगद कहे तन मेरा, जम का दंड मूंड मह लागे, खिन मह करे निबेरा। Vaheguru has created so many humans of different shapes and forms, just as the potter mixes the same earth but makes different types and shapes of that earthenware with different hues and colors. The God has blessed some people with good qualities and bestowed upon them pearls of good character and even necklaces of good pearls with wealth of possessions. However, some others are made to engage themselves in vices like drinking wine. The miser seems to be made by God to amass wealth, as he is not supposed to spend any money, though the fool considers all the money as his own. But once he faces the dreadful god of death, Yama, with the baton struck on his head, this fool, who considered all the wealth as his own, leaves everything behind, and the whole thing becomes quite clear to him. हरिजन उत्तम भगत सदावे, आज्ञा मन सुख पाई, जो तिस पावे सत कर माने, पाणा मन वसाई। कहे कबीर सुनो रे संतो, मेरी मेरी झूठी, चिरगट फार चटारा ले गयो, तरी तागरी छूटी। The saintly people who serve the God are known as great ones and are honored everywhere. They enjoy all worldly pleasures and comforts by following God's will. They consider whatever is the God will and whatever He gives them as the right thing, and they accept Vaheguru's dictates with full faith and due respect. Says Kabir, listen, O godly people, let us understand this point clearly, that the egoism and I amness is all false and untrue, as nothing belongs to us and everything is transient. Just as a cat attacks a cage and removes the sparrow, leaving everything in the cage intact, like the pot for serving food to the bird. Similarly, death removes the soul from the body, leaving everything else behind, and the god of death, Yama, strikes an individual with such a sudden blow that everything is left behind and the soul is removed from the body, which proceeds along with the Yama without any hitch. आसा हम मस्कीन खुदाई बंदे तुम राजस मन पावे अल्लाह अवल दीन को साहिब जोर नहीं फुरमावे. O Qazi, we are the poor and helpless people of Vahikaru, while you are intoxicated with the grandeur of your imperial power and egoism. The god was exalted in his position much before your religion came into existence. As such, he is the controller and master of all religions. He never allows any oppression of the poor and helpless people. काजी बोलिया बन नहीं आवे रहा. O Qazi, do not tally whatever you are saying with the person serving the God Almighty. Pause. रोज़ा तरे निवाज गुजारे कलमा पिस्त न होई सत्तर काबा काट ही पीतर जेकर जाने कोई. Keeping your fast, reciting your prayers and reading the Kalma, the Muslim creed, shall not take you to paradise. The temple of Makkah is hidden within your mind itself if you only knew about it. If someone were to understand the true meaning of life and attain self-realization, then it would be worth 70 visits to holy Makkah by itself. But this realization is attained by very few. निवाज सोई जो न्याओ बिचारे कलमा अकल है जाने पाँचों मुसला बिछावे तब तो दीन पछाने. O Qazi, the prayer is true and accepted by the God, provided you dispense the right type of justice, and the Muslim Kalma is also acceptable by the God if one realizes the true God, who is above all suffering, and attains his blessing through one's intelligent understanding. One cannot realize true religion just by saying one's prayers 5 times a day by spreading the cloth, but one could realize and attain true religion by ridding oneself of the 5 vices. खसम पछान तरस कर जी में मार मणि कर फीकी आप जनाए अवर को जाने तब होए पिस्त सरी की माटी एक पेख तर नाना तामह ब्रह्म पछाना कहे कबीरा पिस्त छोड़ कर दो जग स्यों मन माना. Take pity on the human beings by having some realization of the God and get rid of your ego and I amness. Do not perform any functions under the influence of egoism. You could appreciate the sufferings and problems of others only if you attain self-realization and then deserve your place in the heaven by serving your fellow beings. Moreover, you will be able to explain to others also the true image of God. I have gained the true knowledge of God only after having realized that the God has created all the human beings from the same earth and material in this world. The clay is one, but it has taken many forms. I recognize the one God within them all. Says Kabir, I have abandoned paradise and have started the liking to hell. Performing atrocities on others and making them suffer is worse than hell. आसा गगन नगर एक बूंद न बरखै, नाद कहाँ जो समाना। पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर माधव परमहंस ले सिधाना. From the city of the 10th gate, the sky of the mind, not even a drop rains down. Where is all that music of the sound grunt of the Nad that was contained in it? The Supreme God, the Transcendent God, the Master of Wealth, has taken away the Supreme Soul. Baba बोलते ते कहाँ गए, देही के संग रहते, सूरत माही जो नृत्य करते, कथा वार्ता कहते रहाओ. O Father, tell me, where has it gone? It used to dwell within my body. Where are all the talks and jargons which formed almost like a part of my body always? Where is it gone? Sometime earlier, all the talks were linked with the physical body attachments, and I was always thinking only in terms of worldly falsehood. Where have all of those rumblings of mind suddenly disappeared? That dance in the mind, that teaching and speaking is gone. Pause. बजावन हारो कहाँ गयो, जिन ए मंदिर कीना, साखी शब्द सूरत नहीं उपजै, खिंच तेज सब लीना. Where has the player gone, he who made this temple his own? Where has that mind gone? Where is that mind within the abode of this body? Where is it now? Once the god of death has eliminated the light from within the body, like the soul, the talk produced earlier with the help of the conscious mind. It has stopped being produced from the body now. The mind which was using body attachments like a drum has disappeared somewhere as the God has withdrawn its light from within, so the mind does not generate those thoughts anymore. Sarvanan bikal bhai संग तेरे, इंद्रिय का बल थाका, चरण रहे कर टरक परे हैं, मुखो न निकसे बाता. The ears, your companions, they have gone deaf, and the power of your organs is totally exhausted. Your feet have failed, your hands have gone limp, and no words issue forth from your mouth. थाके पंच दूत सब तस कर, आप आपणे प्रमते, थाका मन कुंचर और थाका तेज सूत तर रमते. Even the 5 vices which were busy slandering others, are tired now, which were busy earlier in causing all the confusion. Even the mind, like an elephant beyond our control, has calmed down as the senses no longer follow its dictates. All the five enemies have become tired and stopped their confusing activities. All their senses were busy earlier with the support of the mind and its knowledge in running around. Now the elephant like mind has become quiet as the heart has become disinterested. मृतक भय दसै बंद छूटे मित्र पाई सब छोरे कहत कबीरा जोहर त्यावै जीवत बंधन तोरे. Now all the 10 senses have gone disinterested and lifeless so far as physical love and attachments are concerned, having given up the friendship of holy desires and hopes. When one is dead, all the bondages of the 10 gates open and one leaves all friends and brothers. Says Kabir, those who meditate on Vaheguru, they break their bonds even while yet alive. आसा एक तुके चार सर्पनी ते ऊपर नहीं बलिया जिन ब्रह्मा विष्णु महादेव छलिया. There is no other power as powerful than the she-serpent, Maya, the worldly falsehood, who deceived even Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. मार मार सर्पनी निर्मल जल बैठी जिन त्रिपवन डसिएले गुरु प्रसाद डीठी रहा. Having bitten and struck them down, she now sit in the immaculate waters. The serpent of Maya has been successful in controlling everyone in its sweep and onslaughts, but it has lost its effectiveness on reaching the holy congregation. I have realized the true form of this snake through the grace of the Guru and have found that it has lost its effectiveness in creating any stir among the holy congregations, though it has succeeded in controlling and subduing everyone in the three worlds, on the land, water and sky. Pause. सर्पनी सर्पनी क्या कहो पाए जिन साच पछानिया तिन सर्पनी खाए. O siblings of destiny, why do you keep talking and calling she serpent? One who realizes the truth and the true God devours even the sea serpent. Why are you so much worried and afraid of the serpent? Whosoever realizes the secret of God has been able to control and completely suppress this worldly falsehood. सर्पनी ते आन छूछ नहीं अवरा सर्पनी जीती कहा करे जमरा. No other person has escaped the onslaughts of this snake. Even the Yama could not harm the Guru-minded people who has been able to subdue and control the snake of falsehood through the Guru's grace. ए सर्पनी ताकी कीती होई बल अबल क्या इसते होई. In fact, this falsehood has also been created by God Himself, who has created the whole universe. Otherwise, by itself, the falsehood has no worthwhile existence. of its own, so that it could harm anyone and win over or lose to any individual. ਇਹ ਬਸਤੀ ਤਾ ਬਸਤ ਸਰੀਰਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਸਹਿਜ ਤਰੇ ਕਬੀਰਾ. So long as this human accepts the existence of this worldly falsehood, Maya, then this human continues to pass through the cycle of births and deaths in the human body form. But the moment person is able to subdue it and control it, then one escapes the cycle of transmigration. O Kabir, we could cross and swim across this ocean of life successfully and with ease in the state of equipoise through Guru's grace. Asal kaha suwan ko simrit sunaye kaha sakat pehe har gun gaye. Why bother to read the Simritis to somebody with an intelligence of dog? Why bother to sing the God's praises to someone who is faithless and cynical? It is no use reciting and singing praises of God before such people, as it will not have any effect on them. Ram Ram Rame Ram Rahiye Sakat Syon Pool Nahi Kahiye Raha. We should meditate on true name in the company of holy saints with body and mind, so as to immerse completely in God's love, but at no stage, even unknowingly, we should talk about it to the faithless people, as their mind is totally attuned to other things of interest. Pause. Kawa kaha kapur charaye कहे बिसियर को दूध प्याए. Why offer camphor to a crow? Why give the snake milk to drink? The faithless people, they behave in same manner as the crow who is always interested in filth, and it is no use offering him the fragrance of camphor, or even offering milk to a snake who is bound to spit venom and would bite you any moment. Sat sangat mil vivek buddh hoi, paras paras loha kanchan soi. Joining the Satsangat, the true congregation, discriminating understanding is attained. That iron which touches the philosopher's stone becomes gold. Sakat suwan sab kare karaya, jo tur likhya so karam kamaya. अमृत लय लय नीम सिंचाई, कहत कबीर उआ को सहज न जाई. The dog, the faithless cynic, they do everything that God causes them to do. They do the deeds preordained from the very beginning. If you take ambrosial nectar and irrigate the neem tree with it, still, says Kabir, its natural qualities are not changed. Asal Lanka sa kot samund si khai, teh Ravan kar khabar na pai. क्या मांगो किछ थिर न रहाई, देखत नैन चलियो जग जाई रहा. A fortress like that of Sri Lanka, with the ocean as a moat around it, There is no news about that house of Ravana anymore. What shall I ask for? Nothing is permanent. I see with my eyes that the world is passing away. Pause. इक लख पूत सवा लख नाती तै रावण कर दिया न बाती चंद सूरज जाके तपत रसोई बैसंतर जाके कपरे तोई. Ravana had 1 lakh sons and 1.25 lakh grandsons, but nobody knew when the great king died, and there was no light in his place, with darkness of ignorance and lack of knowledge all around. They say that Ravana was so powerful that both the sun and moon gods were cooking for him, while the god of fire used to wash his clothes. But what was the fate of such a powerful king? In the end, even that a great civilization vanished. गुरुमत रामे नाम बसाई अस्थिर रहे न कतहु जाई कहत कबीर सुनो रे लोई राम नाम बिन मुकत न होई. Says Kabir, listen, O people, without God's name no one can attain salvation. Such powerful people and King Ravana's in previous civilizations faced horrible death as they did not remember the one and only God.